The sharp, insistent ringing of the alarm clock snaps Detective Del Spooner out of a nightmare. A bright sunny day, it's time to walk a couple of brand new Converse. Meanwhile, it's already 2035, and robots have become an integral part of the life of every resident of Chicago. Make a delivery, take out the trash, or walk the dog. Whatever task you assign to the robot, it will perfectly cope with it. People are delighted with such assistance, needless to say. Except Spooner seems to be the only one who sees robots as a real threat. On the way to work, Del notices a running robot with a woman's bag. Without thinking twice, the police officer sets off in pursuit of the nimble android. Thinking that the robot is a thief, Spooner knocks him to the ground and puts a gun to the back of his head. But then it turns out that the robot was just in a hurry to bring his mistress an inhaler she had forgotten. Dissatisfied with the behavior of the detective, the woman immediately baptized that idiot. Later, this embarrassing situation became the subject of ridicule from Spooner's colleagues. Spooner's at the station. Suddenly, his department receives a call asking him to urgently come to Us Robotics, a corporation that creates robots. Arriving at the call, Spooner finds his old friend Dr. Alfred Lanning in a pool of blood, and next to him, a small holographic projector. After playing the recording, the detective learns that Lanning chose him for this investigation because he believes in his mind. And now Spooner has to find out why the scientist died. According to criminologists, it was suicide because the doors of Lanning's office are closed from the inside. And the injuries on the scientist's body are characteristic of falling from a great height. The director of the company, Lawrence Robertson, adheres to the same version. Spooner does not miss the opportunity to stab Lawrence for his desire to flood every apartment with robots. We'll mix people with shit. Of course, a robot in every home equals a rapid increase in unemployment. Now the detective's dislike of androids is understandable, because once his father lost his job because of them. But it's time to continue the investigation, and it's time to talk to a specialist in the psychology of positronic robots. Susan Kelvin. A woman tells Spooner about Wiki, a virtual interactive kinetic intelligence that is the central computer of Us Robotics. The detective asks Vicky to show the lab a minute before the glass broke, but for some reason the data from the cameras during this period turned out to be damaged. While exploring Lanning's laboratory, Spooner finds the book Hansel and Gretel by the broken window, and then tests the double-glazed window for strength. However, the glass did not break, which led the detective to the idea that the old man alone would not have coped. They definitely helped him. Spooner hints to Kelvin that robots are involved in this, but the woman tries to convince him, quoting 3 laws of robotics, according to which a robot cannot harm a person. As if wanting to refute these words, a robot of the latest model N-5 jumps out of a pile of various parts. Completely ignoring Dr. Kelvin's orders, android starts to leak through a broken window. By the time Spooner went down to the street, the robot was already gone. Where to look for the fugitive, Susan suggested. The detective managed to shoot him, which means that he will come to the assembly shop of the company to be repaired. That's where they'll find him. Susan and Spooner arrived at the scene at night. After checking the data in the computer, the woman finds out that there are 1,001 robots in the shop at the moment. Found more than needed. He's here. But how to find it among thousands of absolutely identical cars? Spooner is sure that if he starts shooting at robots, their fugitive will get scared and give himself away. And so it happened. However, the robot tried to escape again, throwing the detective aside. The android asked him a strange question, "What am I?" And then, while trying to escape, he fell straight into an ambush of police officers who were called in advance by Spooner. At the station, the detective tries to convince everyone that it was this robot that killed Lanning. But no one wants to listen to him. During the interrogation, Spooner finds out that the robot's name is Sonny. Lanning himself gave him that name. Sonny calls his designer father and admits that he taught him human feelings. When Spooner accused Sonny of murder, android lost his temper, which is not at all like the behavior of a soulless machine. The robot mentioned the scientist's fear and a certain request that Sonny fulfilled out of love for his creator. But Spooner was never able to figure out what kind of request it was. In the evening, discussing the situation with his boss over a bottle of beer, Spooner comes to the conclusion that Lanning really wanted him to take up arms against this robot. But why? The investigation leads Spooner to the house of the late scientist. In front of the entrance, there is a huge robot sent by the corporation to demolish the building. From the settings, the detective learns that the demolition is scheduled for 8 a.m., which means he has plenty of time to search the house. Having found the old man's office on the 2nd floor, Spooner notices exactly the same video surveillance system as in the main building of the corporation. What's so surprising about that? Lanning is one of the main employees of US Robotics. Spooner didn't think much of it. Meanwhile, the construction robot started up, and the demolition of the building was somehow postponed to the evening. The only thing the detective managed to find. This includes a lecture by Lanning about ghosts in cars and a charming cat. Suddenly, the construction robot began to destroy the house. The detective miraculously managed to get out of the collapsing building, taking the tailed one with him. Arriving at Dr. Kelvin's apartment late at night, Spooner asks the woman to tell him what ghost the doctor mentioned. Dr. Lanning, and the answer surprised him. According to the scientist, robots can evolve. This gives Spooner an idea, but after noticing the android highlighted in red in Susan's living room, the detective flatly refuses to talk in front of him. Once alone, Spooner shares that Lanning may have found out about something. There are problems with robots, but Susan is absolutely sure that robots will never intentionally harm a person. The conversation turned into an argument. Kelvin's complete confidence in the corporation's creations greatly annoys the detective, and after being rude to the woman, he leaves. That night, the detective is tormented by the old nightmare again. Two cars are submerged underwater. In one of them, a girl asks for help, but the robot saves him. The ringing of the alarm clock brings Spooner back to reality. Meanwhile, on the streets of the city, people are swapping their outdated models of N-4 robots for a new generation of androids, which the corporation provides free of charge. And even Spooner's beloved Granny was lucky to win one copy today. The detective, of course, did not like it, and in protest, Spooner hurries to leave the apartment. However, Grandma's innocent remark about breadcrumbs on the collar suggests Spooner. Already at the police station, the detective scrolls over and over again a fragment from Lanning's lecture, where the scientist says that soon robots will be able to dream, and they will have secrets. Spooner is completely sure that Lanning was trying to tell him who killed him. This thought haunted the detective. On his way home, Spooner contacts Vicky and asks her to give him access to Lanning's latest correspondence. But instead, the program asks him to wait, and she reports this to the head of the corporation, Lawrence, which infuriates him. While Spooner waited, he was surrounded by two huge machines with robots of the latest generation inside. Their indicators began to light up red, after which the androids began to attack Spooner's car. Someone obviously wanted him dead. Somehow the detective manages to break through the siege of the enemy, but the annoying robots do not want to let go of their victim. Then Spooner twists the steering wheel to the left, and the car begins to rotate rapidly, throwing off the intrusive cans. When a large car gets too close to the wall, an explosion occurs. In an attempt to throw off the most tenacious robots from the car, Spooner loses control and turns over. It's finally over. The wounded detective climbs out of the car, but the surviving robot does not let him relax properly. A fight begins, during which it turns out that Spooner has a cybernetic hand. Suddenly the sound of sirens is heard. The robot leaves the detective alone, and immediately disappears into the fire. And at the same time, cleaning robots in the tunnel collect scattered android parts. When the police arrive at the scene of the accident, the boss asks Spooner what happened here. The detective tries to explain that he was attacked by robots, and there are a lot of them in the tunnel. But it turns out that the police have already checked that place, and there is nothing there. The boss does not believe Spooner and takes the badge of a police officer from him. The detective is furious why no one believes him. It is obvious that they are trying to eliminate him. Meanwhile, in secret from Lawrence, Kelvin decides to diagnose Sonny, and finds out that the robot does not have a communication channel with us, and its alloy is much stronger than the other models. In addition, Sonny has not one, but two positronic brains. The second one is installed instead of a communication transmitter with the corporation, through which robots usually receive daily updates. The woman hurries to share her discovery with Spooner. According to her, Sonny is a new generation robot, and although he has 3 laws laid down in him, he can easily break them. The detective is sure that Sonny is the key to solving the mysterious death of Lanning, and he definitely needs to talk to the robot. While Spooner was changing, Susan noticed he had a scar from surgery on his chest. Spooner admitted that he got into an accident, lost his arm, and that's when he met Lanning. The scientist provided him with a new hand, and that accident left a heavy imprint on Spooner's soul. In the car he collided with, there was a girl in the back seat. Her dad died, and their car was stuck together by the impact, and at high speed, they crashed into the river. A robot that happened to be nearby thought that Spooner had a better chance of survival and saved him, although the man begged to save the child. It was someone's child. She had to be saved. A human would understand this, but not a robot. Therefore, they are not trustworthy. Arriving at the corporation building, Spooner communicates with Sana and asks the robot to draw a dream that he saw. The android is convinced that he saw a detective in a dream, followed by all the robots. However, the conversation is abruptly interrupted by the guards, and he takes Spooner and Kelvin to Clarenzo's office. There, the director of the corporation persuades Susan to destroy Sonny. He is sure that if people find out about such independent behavior of the robot, they will be scared, and then mass returns will begin. That same evening, Kelvin, under the supervision of his superior, executes the order, and introduces nanorobots into Sonny's positronic brain, where they destroy his artificial synapses. Meanwhile, Spooner finds in one of Lawrence's interviews exactly the same bridge as in Sonny's drawing. He immediately goes to the place. It turns out to be the dump where US Robotics sends everyone. Robots of an outdated model. There Spooner again uses the holographic projector found next to Dr. Lanning's body, and this time asks the hologram a question about the 3 laws of robotics, to which scientists answer that it is these laws that will lead to the logical conclusion, to the revolution. On the way back, Spooner witnesses the massacre of EN's 5 androids over robots of the previous generation. Seeing the detective, the robots try to catch him, but EN's 4 delays EN's 5, and Spooner successfully hides. The man tries to call Kelvin, but the call is received by her android. When Spooner shouts into the phone that the EN's 5 robot is killing old robots, android cuts the connection. Susan sees this, but quickly realizes that it can be dangerous to give herself away. The woman decides to pretend she didn't hear anything. Upon reaching the city, Spooner sees robots taking over its streets and imposing a curfew. Outraged residents perceived such a statement as an encroachment on their freedom and rebuffed the cans. At the same time, at the police station, EN's -5 attacks people, considering them dangerous to others. It is noteworthy that during the uprising, all robots have a red indicator light. Spooner, who rescued Kelvin from captivity, also noticed this. According to the woman, this indicates a connection with the US. Spooner comes to the conclusion that the uprising of the machines is led by Lawrence Robertson. But why does he need all this? I had to get into the building through the utility room. There they are met by Sonny, alive and unharmed. When asked by the detective how he survived, Kelvin admits that he could not destroy such a unique robot, and replaced Sonny with another model. Once in Lawrence's office, the guys find him dead, which means that he did not control the robots. Spooner comes to the conclusion that Lanning knew about the uprising from the very beginning, but was afraid that no one would believe him. So he left a trail for Spooner, counting on his hatred of androids. The scientist knew that it would be easy for the detective to see the robot as a villain. Except he was thinking of the wrong robot. Vicky's artificial intelligence has been developing all this time, and her understanding of the 3 laws has changed. She came to the conclusion that in order to protect people from death, it is necessary to deny them a number of freedoms, and sacrifice a part of humanity. While Vicky was explaining why she needed all this, several androids under her control came into the room. Seeing this, Sonny decides to pretend that he is on Vicky's side and take his friends out of the room. And to make Spooner believe him, the robot winked. Back at the station, Sonny found out that winking is a gesture of trust for people. But the detective has his own special style. He quickly shoots aggressive cans from the machine, and the friendly trio goes to the 121 floor, where the central processor is located. Along the way, Susan asks Sonny to get nanites to destroy Vicky's positronic brain. Artificial intelligence tries to convince Sana not to do this, but the robot is convinced that Vicky's methods are too soulless, and therefore unacceptable. Kelvin tries to crack the protection, but the AI resists, so the woman will need at least 6 minutes to carry out her plan. But they don't have that time. Vicky sent a distress signal to all the robots in town, and they came back to protect her. Spooner and Kelvin can't withstand such an onslaught. There are too many robots. The woman is in danger. She's about to fall from a great height. At this moment, Sonny bursts into the room. Spooner asks the robot to save the woman, and this time, contrary to iron logic, Sonny rushes down and saves Kelvin at the last moment. Spooner picks up the abandoned flask with nanites and also jumps down. Hooked by his cyber hand, the detective introduces nanorobots directly into Vicky's brain. The smallest particles. Destroys the rebellious program and returns peace to the people of Chicago. When it was over, Spooner found out from Sonny the real circumstances of Lanning's death. It turns out that the scientist took an oath from the robot that he would fulfill his request. Sonny didn't know what his creator would ask, and this request turned out to be his own murder. As a sign of gratitude for everything, Spooner shakes Sonny's hand. The robot does not know what to do now because it has fulfilled its purpose. Then Spooner advises him to find his own way because that's what it means to be free. Robots going to mass deactivation notice a sledge standing on a hillock. Now, after Vicky's death, he will show them a new path, and they will willingly follow him.